I thought it would be really good for us to do a chit chat in case somebody's listening today that's like, okay, from a business perspective, like how did everything go? Hey, Nell.
Hey,
Welcome to the Jennifer Allwood Show.
this is my third episode, I think, in 3 weeks. I'm
I
pretty
know. How do you feel about it? Do you want to
I'm
take it
like a
over?
regular.
Do
As
you
long
want
as
to take it
everyone's
over?
oh no, but as long as everyone's okay with it, I'm okay with it too.
Oh, I think everybody's okay with it. I mean, we just got a recent survey back from our clients. It turns out they love Nell as much as, we'll say that, if not more than moi, which you know what? I told Jason, I'm like, that's great. That it's awesome that my clients love you. See, look at her. If you're watching on YouTube, she's got her little. So thank you for taking care of the podcast twice while I was off. We're actually going to talk today about while I was off. So I had run this idea by Nell that Jason and I wanted to do a podcast episode just kind of giving an overview of the month of July because it was my first sabbatical ever. It's the first time I've stepped away for a month. And do you want to know what's weird, Nell, is I started my painting company in Kansas City in the year 2000. And then I always joke like 10 minutes later, I was pregnant with Noah. And so, yes, I took time off to like deliver him physically out of my body. I was in the hospital, but then, like a week later, it was right back to being on the phone with builders and faxing estimates. And, I just took Noah a lot when he was a newborn in like a carry case, because when you're self-employed, you kind of just have to keep working because if you don't work, you don't eat. And so this was my first real break in 25 years.
Nice.
Thank you. And I don't say that to be like a martyr, but thank you. It was really good, even though it was really bad. So Jason and I did the recap. If you have not listened to that, go listen to the last episode if you want, just about Ava was in the hospital. Easton's car got stolen. I mean, it was just a month of,
Stolen.
yeah, stolen. I use that in parentheses. The story, I still like, I am so hopeful that somebody's going to listen to that episode and be like, "Ooh, that's my Aunt Louise that actually drove his car on accident for a week while you all thought it was stolen." And so that's my hope. And that Aunt Louise is going to be like, "Yo, I am so sorry that that happened. And may I send your son a wedding gift?" And I'm gonna be like, "Yes, yes, you may,
Yes,
just
yes.
because of the stress you caused, Louise." I don't even know why I picked Louise as a name. Anyhow, so then that was like the personal edition on that podcast episode. This is like the work edition. I thought it would be really good for us to do a chit chat in case somebody's listening today that's like, okay, from a business perspective, like how did everything go? Was it messy? Were you messaging Jen all the time? Was she messaging you all the time? And I think what I'm really hopeful for is that we can maybe like lay down some good guidelines for our clients and our listeners on how they could take some time off too. Yeah? You want to add anything there?
Nope, we're
Nope.
ready to go.
Okay, cool. So, I saw this movie while I was off in July. I don't remember the name of the movie, and I don't remember where I got this, but it was off the movie, I think, that I got this saying that like I was thinking about it. I need to use it in a sentence, and I need to use it appropriately. Like when it comes to the month of July, I was thinking how much this fit. The saying that I heard was, sometimes you're the dog and sometimes you're the lamppost. I feel like in July, Jason and I were the lamppost. But anyway, and so personally, like things were kind of unhinged, but professionally, you guys nailed it. I mean, I just would like to just pause and give a public approval to, and that's all because you set us up so well for success. But business wise, things went really, really well.
Mhm.
I did want to just talk about like some mindset things that I kind of had to wrap my head around because we've been talking about me being off this July for what? How long do you think we've been talking about that?
I mean, you've wanted to be off for the month of July for a couple of years. I mean, like
I
that's been
have.
a
Yeah.
goal. And then
Yeah.
I think we were like, okay, I think we can make it happen this year once like Easton was getting married. It was kind of like,
Yes.
okay, maybe let's
If we're going to do it, that
this
seems
is the
like the
time.
appropriate
Yeah.
time to try it. And there was a short period of time where I kind of had to like work through my own mindset things, which is funny considering I'm a, certified life coach. But, I have to coach myself all the time too, because I was finding myself saying things like, I'm taking off the month of July, like I've earned it, or, I've worked my ass off. Can I say that on my own podcast? I'm so sorry. I worked my tail off, to get where I'm at. And I finally had to remind myself, like, wait, I don't have to justify. And so I'm talking to all you business owners out there. We don't need to say things like that. Like, we don't need to say, I've earned it, I've deserved it, I've worked hard enough, etc. Because the truth is, when you're a business owner, like nobody's seeing all the countless nights of sleep that you're getting and all the weekends that you're putting in and all the things that even if they did, it's okay. You've built something hopefully in a way that you're able to step away from. Am I saying that right now?
Yes, yes. And it even reminds me a little bit of, you used to talk about in your painting company, like when you wouldn't go to the job site and you would kind of feel bad, like,
Yes.
that like I feel bad I'm not there and I have people who
No.
are working and I'm not working. And, same thing, like, do I need to justify this? And it's because I've spent
No.
extra time doing quotes and I've spent extra time doing this. And
Yes.
so that's why I'm not there painting. No, you don't have to justify any of it. And
Yeah.
as the business owner, and like you used to say then, they're probably
They loved it.
fine, yeah, better off when
They
you're not
loved it
there.
when I didn't come in. I wasn't asking questions. I wasn't being critical. I wasn't any of the things. And so it is a little bit of a mind warp for a business owner because I think sometimes it's a guilt. It's just basically a guilt thing that we feel like we need to justify stepping away for a little bit. And, I don't know that it needs to be justified. I mean, you've built something, you should also be able to hit pause on that something. And if you've stewarded your business in the right way, you should be able to step away for a period of time. But it was like a mind meld for me trying to like not feel bad because here's what it is now. Like in my head, I'm thinking, are you thinking, oh, great, Jen's freaking off for a month. Now we got, and I don't think you were thinking any of that,
Not at
but
all.
that's where some of that like weird guilt thing comes in. And I've learned a long time ago, guilt is just really a useless emotion. It just
100%.
keeps us really like trapped. And so I feel like I did a pretty good job of getting my mindset right prior to July, I really
That's
did
good.
have a lot where I was like, okay, do I deserve it?
Well, and I think I don't have that exact, like, for me, for my personal reference, but the closest I have is when I was a teacher going on maternity leave. And I would go through the same thing, like guilty of like leaving everybody.
Right.
And same thing,
And
like,
you were supposed to be the teacher, not the
right,
substitute teacher.
right,
Uh-huh.
right. And I have to make sure everything's ready. But it's like, no, the system is set up as long as I do all the things I'm supposed to before I leave.
Yes.
The system is set up that I don't have to be here and I don't have to feel guilty
Yeah.
about not grading
Yeah.
papers because someone else is while I'm gone or whatever. And so I've had to go through that same thing. And then on the flip side of that is, wow, they were able to spend 6 weeks without me there. Like there's a little bit of a mindset
I know there
shift
is
there.
because
It's
coming
like
back,
I
I'm
think
like,
I'm really, really important, and I'm the only one that can do so much. But then it turns out that things live without you there, which is also just good.
it's
I
also a
mean, it's
testament to how well
yes,
you had set things up.
well,
Yeah.
but just also like it goes both ways. Like
Yes, it does.
so.
Yeah.
That's just
And
always
so
important.
I was concerned that I might not be able to really be off. Like I was thinking, okay, am I going to still sneak and look at Voxers on my phone and things? But you guys really suggested I just take Voxer off my phone. And that was 100% fine. There was no part of me ever during the month of July where I was like, maybe I should reinstall Voxer. Nope, that didn't happen. And so it was kind of funny though, because I did have to get onto the computer that we're sitting on right now, the desktop, to do something towards the middle of the month for our bookkeeper, just to grab a report for her off our rental properties. And Ari comes in and she's like, I thought you weren't working this month. And I'm like, I'm not working this month. Like, I promise you, I'm just grabbing something for our bookkeeper. But other than just like that, and I think I checked in with you maybe like middle of the month and just was like on a text, hey, how are some things going? And then I did like video some things on the beach, just like for B-roll that I forwarded to you guys. But otherwise, I did I think a great job of
Yeah, great.
off. So I thought we'd talk about just kind of how we prepared behind the scenes for anybody
Sure.
else that's interested. So
Yeah.
you actually created the master doc. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so we just first have, anything in life usually starts with some kind of Google Doc or a spreadsheet. I feel like, we're
100%.
headed in the right direction if we have a document about
Or
it.
notes
So,
on Jen's phone.
yes, and then we turn those into a Google Doc or a spreadsheet.
Yes.
So we had Jen had like kind of her questions, and then I had kind of plans for the team. But
Mhm.
basically, it was like who was covering what? What's all the training calendar going to look like? What's the podcast calendar? What's the plan for inbox, social media, DMs, like all the things. We just listed like what are all the things Jen does, and then who's going to handle those and what that's going to look like. And I think
Mhm.
that set you up for like, okay,
Yes.
things are covered. Like you don't have to worry, oh, what
Yes.
about this Wednesday training? And what about, this?
Yep. There was
Who's
no
looking
having
for
to
my
check in.
DMs?
Yep.
Yeah. So we started that in the month of June. And just by the time, and then we had a meeting kind of right before the end of the month where we
Yeah.
went through that. The whole team knew what was going on. Everyone knew their role, what to expect. And we were just ready to go from there.
Yeah. And that was super duper helpful, just to have everything kind of laid out for the entire month. And so, what I would say to you business owners who are like, I don't know if I could take some time off. Well, first of all, and we can talk about this later, but you don't have to take a month. You can just take a week or 2 weeks. But, part of you feeling comfortable taking off is also how comfortable are you with the people who are in the seats doing, things on your behalf while you're off. How comfortable are you with either their skill set, their knowledge, or the way that you've trained them? Because sometimes I think we're nervous about letting our team take over. And often I wonder, well, is that because I've done a bad job teaching? Have I done a bad job laying out expectations? So I think sometimes we as business owners, we need to take a little bit more, I don't know, responsibility for that. Like if you're nervous stepping away, have you not set those people up for success? Have you not trained them right? Have you not made sure the right people are in the right positions, et cetera? And so, because I think that helps a ton. And so you guys you released the content as planned.
Yeah. We
Turns out, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
clients were all good. We did
Yeah.
communicate, like we did a lot of communicating ahead of time. It
Yep.
wasn't like it was blindsided people, so they knew, but business
Yeah.
kept moving. We did a couple promotions, one of which we hadn't even talked about with you before we left, your birthday sale. Like that just
I
came
know,
the
which,
first week of July. I was like, oh, it's gonna be Jen's birthday. Let's do a sale, like a Team Allwood sale,
yeah.
which was did great. That really helped for the month. So we actually were at like our normal revenue for the month. Like the business didn't take a
Yeah.
hit. We didn't have like a major promotion, but we also were able to maintain and have a couple of
Yeah.
promos to keep everything in line.
Yeah. So in terms of like the things that went well and didn't, like in terms of what went well, me being off Voxer was a huge win, because there was no like, well, I use Voxer for our team because my brain doesn't work like Slack. It's not Slacky. I can't do Slack. I don't understand how it works.
And
And
for people who
so,
don't know, Slack is just typing. It's just like
yes.
text, like
Yep.
it's all typing. Jen likes to talk way
I
more than
like to talk, but apparently I like to talk a lot because I think that our Voxer was mostly just me talking to the team every day. Whether that's just, ooh, I had a thought and feeling the need to share it, or hey, Nell, how's your daughter doing? Or, and so there was a whole lot of that. And so being off that was really good and also made me realize how much I take to Voxer that I really probably don't need to. Does
it's a
that make
good
sense?
reset. Yeah, it was
It is
just
a
a good
good reset.
reset of
Yep.
like, okay,
Yep.
what needs to when we start back up, what do we actually need to keep?
Yeah. And for those of you who are like, what is Voxer? I'm pretty sure I even did a podcast on how we use Voxer as a team. If you just Google Jennifer Allwood podcast, Voxer or something, you'll
Yeah.
find that episode. But we use Voxer. It's basically like a walkie-talkie system or just an audio way to communicate both with our high-level clients and internally. But then also I have girlfriends on there. And I did miss talking to my girlfriends over Voxer because it's not the same over text. You can't put it on 3 speed, et cetera. But
All
but
good.
being off Voxer was definitely a win. All the trainings still happened
Mhm.
for, my monthly coaching group. We had somebody come in and do the war room call because I have prayer calls for my clients every month. All that happened. I did all the podcasts other than the two you did prior to leaving town or prior to being off. And so that all happened completely without disruption.
Yep.
And you actually did some client feedback stuff while, do you want to talk about that? Because I was
We just
worried that maybe the clients would be upset without me being there.
right.
Again,
Well, and we were
you
doing
go.
a survey either way, just because we have some changes coming that are very
We
exciting
do.
to talk
There's
about, that are coming up. But and so anytime you're ready to make some pivots, you want to see where your clients are.
yeah.
And I think this has been years in the making. Years ago when because I can say now years because I've been here almost 7 years.
Yes.
Like I can remember the first time we started having like other people teach. People were like, "Where is Jen? Where is Jen?" Which of course Jen is the hero. Jen is still the number one. But it was like we had to train our clients like sometimes it's not always Jen, and that's okay too. Like you
Yes.
said, we had someone
Well,
else
and
do the
thank
prayer
God it's
call.
not always me because
Right.
you are so skilled in areas that I am not, and vice versa.
Well, and I think of like lead pastors at churches. Like when the entire church only revolves around the lead pastor, that's a little scary that
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
someone else can't be there or that, other people
Somebody
can
else can't preach.
serve,
That's a really
like
great analogy.
and
Yeah.
so I love when like lead pastors take a month off or take, weeks off throughout the
Yeah.
year because then it shows me like, okay, this church is healthy
Yeah.
without being revolving around a person. And so this business
Yes.
is healthy without only revolving around one person. And so
That's
but
really
that
good.
took years to get us there, to
Yes.
get us where people are like it's not like when someone else comes on a coaching call, everyone's like, who's this and what's going on? So,
Yeah.
like you said, we had someone else do the prayer call. I did the training calls. And our clients, just love the support wherever it comes. Of course, they love Jen and everything she does, but we found that they're also good. And like I said, it's taken a while with
Yeah.
as long as they're getting good quality teaching and feeling supported, they're good with who it
Right.
is. And that
Yeah.
I think is really good for the business.
Yeah, on the survey, and I'll just shout out to you and just me publicly thanking you. Our stuff came back 44% of our people compared to 40% for me prefer Nell teaching to my teaching. And so I just would like to give myself a pat on the back because I've got you
You
in the
taught
right
me everything I
position.
know.
No, I did not. But you just have so many great skills that I don't. And so I love that our clients recognize that. And so shout out to you because you're amazing. And so, yeah, I was worried that people would be upset, and it turns out nobody was worried. And on one hand, I'm like, oh, and on the other hand, I'm like, that's amazing. That's freaking
Yeah.
amazing. And then you did an incredible like welcome back document for me. This was also like something we did really, really well. And by we, I mean you. Just basically like overview of what happened while I was off, the wins, what you did while I was out, what's coming up next. It was long. It was like 13 or 14 pages. And
Right.
if you're listening and wanting to take a sabbatical, you don't necessarily have to do that. But it was really great for me to just kind of wrap my head around, okay, so how was it? And then we actually had a team meeting, a couple days later. And so that was good.
And just to get us all back on the same page. And once again, I think I know you well enough to know that information helps you be calm. So it's like when we started, here's the
Yes.
stuff and everything we're gonna handle. When you come back, here's everything we did, and here's what's coming up.
Yes.
So that like helps you, I think, like focus on
I am
your
sitting
training.
here pondering what you just said. Information helps me be calm. It really does, doesn't
It
it?
really does.
I think I need to share that with my husband.
You need to know what's you don't you because it helps you close all of your loops. Just knowing it's taken
Yes.
care of. Because if not, you like, does this need to be taken care of? Does this need? But
Yeah.
when I can tell you ahead of time, hey, this has been taken care of, and
Yeah.
this is where we are, then you don't have to have those things to do.
Right.
So
Well, and the older I get, the truth is I find myself kind of getting stuck in the loops just a little bit longer. Let me give you a good example. We were going to go out this week for my birthday dinner. And, now we've got a son that's married, as you can hear on the last podcast. And Noah is 23. Ava is out of the hospital and feeling up to dinner and things. And so we were going to go out to dinner and I just couldn't get all my adult kids to say, yes, the time works. And now when I tell you, I was stuck there for like 48 hours, I'm like, why do my kids hate me? Why can't I'm like, hey, kids, checking back in. Can everybody do 5:30? I'm like, and I was stuck. And it's like, so you might be absolutely right that just information helps me to kind of like get over some things. And so yeah, I really need to
helps you
ponder
feel
that.
like a little in control. So okay,
But
but
then
not everything was great. There was just a few things that we learned that
we
we would
would
do a
maybe do
little
different.
differently. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's things that like you don't know until you do something, right? And so the plan was for us to keep posting on Instagram 2 times a week or as needed. So usually something about the podcast, maybe a reel that, Mac was going to use one of the B-roll videos I sent or whatever. And so Instagram reach to non-followers was actually up by like 31% because she did all reels, which is great.
Yeah.
But the Facebook reach was down
Yeah.
55%. Wah, wah,
And I
wah.
think that's just we didn't give it much love. We didn't really
I
plan
know.
for it, which I'm actually fine with because I think sometimes, everything is not meant to be straight up and,
Yeah.
like like when it comes down, it's kind of like that idea of like when your stories, when you don't story for 24 hours or for a
Yes.
while and then you do again, it like gets you kind of
Yeah.
reinvigorated. And so I think that's okay. But we could have probably reposted like some
Some
old
evergreen
content,
content.
from
Yes.
Facebook to kind of give
Yeah.
Facebook a little more love.
Yeah.
Now
And
from a
I've showed a lot of our clients how to do that, how to go into
right,
their memories and just
memories
find
and
stuff you posted last year on this day, and just, they're just nice ninja tips on how to try to keep your reach up. But yeah, hashtag fix it, Mark. You take
yeah.
a little breather and the machine just, kind of,
Stops going. But
yeah, it
also
is
from
what
a
it is.
total marketing point of view, like Facebook is not our primary income
Right.
source. Like we said, it didn't
Yes.
affect income.
Yeah.
So yes, it might have been down a little bit, but because we have other things set in place, we still ran
Right.
ads while you were gone.
Yeah.
And those are fine
Yeah.
without having to,
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
organic traffic. So
Yeah.
overall, it was still fine, but that's one thing we could have changed. Do you want to talk about stories a little
Yeah,
bit?
I will. So, I was off social media for the month, other than it was a big month because Easton was getting married. Easton's vehicle was stolen, hashtag, air quotes, the night before the wedding. You listened out in the last podcast. Ava was doing like a self-defense class that I was forcing her to do before I let her to go to Peru for 3 weeks. Then she was sick and we were in the hospital. It was my birthday. It was Ari's birthday. And I didn't want to be on Facebook and Instagram, but I missed Instagram stories, which I have automatically tied to Facebook stories. I was really surprised at how much I missed that. But there was like this tension I was feeling because people knew I was supposed to be off. So I was like, if I post on stories, then am I going to have people messaging me like, "Oh, I thought you were off and you're not really off." And I was never off of social media. I just was off of wanting to post on social media. And so that felt a little bit weird. I just wasn't sure how to navigate that. And so I think next time we would like announce that I'm off and maybe less of a like rigid way. And instead we'd position it more as like, I'm taking a breather in July, or more restful July, or a low presence month. That way I still could feel like I could post about personal things if I wanted to. Does that make, because now that it's August, I want to post pictures. Like this morning on Instagram stories, I did post a picture of Ava in the hospital. We celebrated my birthday with our daughter in the hospital. She was there for 5 days. And, and so I posted a picture, but now that feels weird because that was like over a week ago,
Mhm.
and I'm like, want,
Yeah.
want.
Well, and like we had originally kind of planned for you to still story, but then I think because you had posted about not story, anyway. So
I know.
I
It
didn't
just,
know you felt that way either because we didn't really talk much while you were gone. And
yeah,
so 'cause
no,
I
we
would have
didn't.
said just post stories if you had
Yeah.
said, like, hey, I feel a little weird about not posting stuff. So just being a little more clear on that. And then,
Yeah.
like you said, announcing that a little bit differently so you could still story when you wanted, just never
Yeah.
feel like you had to. I think that's the
Yeah.
key in the
That's the
sabbatical. Like,
key.
do the parts that you want to do, but never feel like you have to do
Yes,
anything.
right.
I think
And then email was really messy at the beginning. So for those of you who would like to plan a sabbatical or something, just maybe give this some extra thought, because I thought we were going to redirect all of my personal emails to the team.
well, your entire work email. So you have
Yes.
Jennifer at
I
jenniferallwood.com.
was not going to tell them my email that we
Oh,
actually use. No, you
sorry.
didn't. Jen at jenniferallwood.com is the work one. So
Well, we were going to put all of your emails to
yes, yes.
the work email inbox, and then just forward you the ones that you needed.
Right. But then I had kind of, I messed it up now. So what happened was, well, you see what happened was, so Easton's getting married and we're getting like emails from the caterer. And so I couldn't stay off email is the bottom line. I still needed all the personal ones. And it was like, so that I just made a mess of it. I don't even know how to describe it because they were all being forwarded to Tracy. And then Tracy would get them and she would forward back to me what she thought I needed, but I'd already seen them because they were in my inbox anyway. And
She
I
gets
was such an
your
email
inbox
addict, I couldn't take it off my phone. And so it just was really messy. And that part, I think it was on day 3 or something. I'm like, okay, just stop that. I'm just going to get my own email, 90% of which is not work related anyway. And I know you guys were just trying to help me to like not have to be on my phone at all, which
uh-huh.
by the way, on Monday, my like phone usage was up by like 45% or something.
You came
But
back from that.
it was kind of hard. I had to keep checking email. And so, the takeaway would be for those of you listening, like try to keep your personal and your business emails separate as possible. Because it's too hard to just unplug when they're blended, when they're,
Yeah. Yeah. That's just the thing that I would suggest you do. Like, I don't have anything personal that goes to Nell at jenniferallwood.com.
yeah,
So that is just
right. It's
my
all
own
work.
personal email address, and
Yeah.
that's all work. And so, like, if the team needs to get in my inbox, it's all fine because there's
Yeah.
nothing in there that's personal. And
Yeah.
so, for someone who is on the other side, who's listening to this, and who's like, maybe I want to do that at some point. Make sure you're, like when you're going to Old Navy to sign up for coupons, you're not putting your work email, or when you're
Yes.
at the doctor's
Exactly.
office and they're like,
Yes.
"What's your email for us to send your, lab
Mhm.
results to?" That's
Yeah.
not your work email.
Yeah.
So we figured it out, and I
Yeah,
don't
we
think that
did.
that really dramatically affected your.
It didn't, but here's what it did do is it did make me fully realize how addicted to just checking my inbox I am. I think I check my email every day before I check social media. How about you? Which do you check first?
Oh, you know me in email. I don't ever check my email.
I know. So the other day, Ari had a
I do,
practice
but it's
day
kind of
of sixth
dumb
grade,
small.
and I know
But
it's so wild. It's so wild to me. We're at the bus stop because our kids in Kansas City don't start school for another 2 weeks. But Ari had like a practice day of sixth grade, a half day, and so they do the whole bus route and stuff. So I was talking to one of the other moms, and we were talking about the supply list or something. She's like, "Well, I don't know. I haven't checked my email for a little bit," and I'm like, "I don't even like I don't understand what you're saying. Those words don't compute with me." And so one of the things that's happened because of sabbatical is I have realized how ridiculously often I check my email. Like, how often do you think you open up your inbox every day? Because
um,
I am over 30 times a day.
oh, way less. No, like maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And
And
that's only if
so
I
I've
get a
got to get a handle on
notification
that.
or I know I'm supposed to, I'm like waiting for an email.
Yeah.
Like if
Nope.
I'm waiting for an
It's,
email, I'll go and look. But otherwise, I'm not opening my
and
inbox.
so like right now in my inbox now, let me look. I've got 5 emails. How many do you have?
In one inbox, I
Mhm.
have.
This is the difference between Nell and I. Thank God for both. But if you're watching on YouTube, I want you to comment below. Is your inbox like Nell's with drum roll of how many emails she
Um,
has?
oh, okay. 196,825.
And I have 5.
So almost 200,000 emails.
I don't even understand that. And so I have to get a better handle on just not checking my inbox as much. So that's one of the things I'm going to be working on. And in terms of like, if you're someone listening, because there's got to be a happy medium between you and I, right? But if you're thinking about taking a sabbatical, we had just a couple things that I think we could give them for good advice.
Yeah.
One would be, I just want to encourage you, even if you don't have like a full team, even if you just have an assistant, which is all I had for years, like this is truly possible. And you don't have to take off a full month. What if you just started with a week or 2 weeks? And I was going to suggest now that they maybe try something over the holidays, Thanksgiving
Like
week,
Christmas,
Christmas,
New
the
Year's,
New
like that
Year's.
kind
It's
of
a
time.
great time. Yes. To try to just completely be off. If you have weekly client calls like we do, you could double up before the week you're off. You could double up the week after. If you need, weekly content, you could pre-schedule that. If you have a podcast, you could pre-record it. What else? What else would you
You
suggest
could
now
bring in
that
a
they do?
guest. There's just
Yes.
here's the thing. There is like there. I promise you, there is a solution to everything. So often, even
Yes.
us, we're like, oh, we can't because blank. Like if years ago, if you said we're gonna take a month off, Jen's gonna take a month off, we would have been like, oh, we can't because she has to do
Yeah.
this. We have this. We have
Yeah.
this. I promise there is a solution to all of it.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to be a little creative. Sometimes you might have to give a little extra to your clients, like in order if it's a
Mm,
new thing to them, like instead of usually you give them 4 calls, maybe this month you're going to give them an
give them
extra
time.
30 minutes on one of
Yeah.
them. If it's a one-on-one
Yeah.
client, like you do a little something extra, everyone's understanding, everyone is fine.
Yep.
You also borrow trouble, I think. We like think more people are going to be upset or think we can't
Yes.
do it,
Agree.
and you can. There's a solution.
Yeah.
So,
And what I will tell you is, even though my sabbatical was not restful in terms of, I didn't just lay on the beach all, month. When I was on the beach, I was trying to figure out how to fly our daughter home from Peru on an emergency basis, but but God knew that we were going to have that kind of a month. And I would have had to have taken so much time off anyway. So even though it wasn't, perfect, it was still very powerful and exactly what our family needed. And things, they don't have to be perfect to be right and good. And, it was very successful, even if it wasn't 100% seamless. I mean, it was almost, you guys did such an incredible job. But I do think every single business owner needs to step away because now that I'm back, I'm back excited. I'm back with a little bit of like clarity around some things. I mean, that I gave you a whole list of things yesterday. I'm like, let's consider this. Let's talk about this. We've got some new things that we're going to be sharing with you towards the end of August, probably, that I'm super excited about. And so, being off of work doesn't mean you're never thinking about it, but you're able to think about it in a way without the pressures of the everyday work stuff.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Kind of a bigger, like the
yeah.
30,000-foot view of things.
Yeah. And I mean, it made me fully appreciate my team. And I don't know, I mean, hopefully that's reciprocated.
Of course. Of course.
Hopefully you missed me a little bit. Oddly enough, though, I really did miss talking to you ladies like as humans. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
for
I did
sure.
miss that. And so again, thank you.
Absolutely.
And if you're a business owner listening, I can't stress enough how important I think it is just to take a step away, a step back, and just hit the pause button. And just to get clarity, just to reset, restore, all those rewords. What are the
Yes.
rewords? Rejuvenate, all those things. So if you've never thought about it, it's probably time you did. And if you've thought you can't, trust us, you can.
Yes.
And if you've tried it before and it didn't go well, it's probably time to try again. So Nell, thank you again for taking care of all the things in July. And thanks for being here on the podcast today. I
For
appreciate
sure.
you. All
Awesome.
right, friends. So if this was good for you, fabulous. If you're watching on YouTube, will you leave us a comment? If you know another business owner who you think to yourself, man, she really needs a break, why don't you forward this episode to them? Maybe it would be an encouragement to them to start listening to our show and but to also just to take a break when necessary. So appreciate you guys so much. We'll talk again
Bye.
soon. All right. Bye-bye. I don't know where the off button is.